I think I was just really hyper aware of wanting to create DIBS and not Courtney something, because this is really what I'm wearing every day, not this thing that I've created for other people that can't, have the things that I have. Like that felt like that was celebrity brands. It was kind of like, you know what? You can't afford the things I'm using, so here's this thing we've made for you. And I always hated that. And so I wanted to really create things that I was actually using. And so we chose DIBS, Desert Island Beauty Status, is what it stands for, the acronym, basically just signifying if you were going to get stranded on an island somewhere, what would be your 5 favorite products? Because I got asked that all the time. Like, what are your 5 favorite things? We want to be all your favorite products. So DIBS was born from that.
Explore the minds and marketing strategies behind today's winning brands and businesses. Tap into the power of the creator economy with Earned by CreatorIQ. Here's Conor Begley.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Earned. Today, I've got the co-founder of DIBS as well as famous influencer, Courtney Shields. Welcome to the show, Courtney.
I don't know about that, but thank you. Happy to be here.
I am pumped. And we are in Austin doing this live, which I couldn't be happier about. There's a lot of things we're going to talk about today. One, you're an amazing creator. 2, you've got your podcast, Courtside with Courtney. What I'm going to kick off with is DIBS, because right now DIBS is absolutely on fire. It is the fastest growing celebrity/influencer brand that we track. You co-founded it with Jeff Lee, who is also on the podcast, as well as Ken Landis and Dan Reich. So tell me, what's the last year been like with DIBS? This is crazy.
It's been absolutely insane. We have Monday calls with the team.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time we logged onto one of our Monday calls and there's all these new faces. It's been such an amazing journey, and just seeing DIBS pop up in all the places that I don't expect it to. I've had a couple of fly on the wall moments where I've gotten to just observe people enjoying DIBS in the wild, and that's been pretty cool too.
That is honestly the best experience of starting a company. Like, I remember walking through the Alo Yoga offices, and we're a software company, and I saw somebody with like our software on their screen just like working away, and I was like, oh my God, it's like in the wild. What have been the things that you expected to be hard that weren't that hard? And what are the things you thought maybe this would be easy, but it's actually been a lot harder than you expect?
I would say there haven't been too many things. In part, I feel like it all has come naturally, but definitely not easily. It's been a lot of hard work to get here, but I think the ideation and creation process is my personal favorite. So coming up with the ideas, product ideas, and now of course we have like an amazing NPD team. But the way that we started was just from 2 ideas for products that I'd had in my head that I felt like were good problem solution answers. So having that ideation, creation, and then like holding the product in my hand, easy in the sense that I had the idea and it went well. Luckily, people liked it. Thankfully, I feel super grateful for that, but difficult in the process getting there. The formulation, going back and forth, just the sheer time it takes. And a lot of it is you're really at the mercy of the lab and the timing and the chemists and everything that's going on. There's so many moving pieces and so much of it is still very out of our control. And that's difficult because I can have an idea for a product and then I might not get to see that idea for a year and a half in really like its true form.
I think that's part of what's kept me out of the consumer product game is like to create a product takes you a year and a half, 2 years minimum if you want it to be good.
And I'm a perfectionist about that kind of stuff too, because my biggest thing is, look, at the end of the day, you can be the juiciest peach and there's still going to be somebody that doesn't like peaches. So for me, if someone doesn't like the product and it's just not their type of thing, they don't like dewy skin, they prefer something much more matte, whatever it is, completely understandable. However, I need the products to be as perfect as I feel like they can be. If I feel 100% good about it, I feel great about putting it out into the world. And then people's experience of it, luckily, has been amazing. If I feel like something isn't as good as it can be, I won't put it out. And so sometimes that means it takes longer too.
There's so much visibility into what's good and what's not. If it's not amazing, it's just not going to do well. And so having that really high bar, I think is super important. Do you now get ideas from the kind of community as well? Or is it still mostly coming from you and the team?
It's all really been from experience with community and talking to people for the past 10 years, honestly. Yeah. I've been doing social media for 10 years. So I was talking to these people in my DMs day in and day out, understanding what issues they had, what they were struggling with, what they needed solves for. I've known makeup has always been natural for me and easy for me, so much so to the point of where like I spent my first $50 on this eyeshadow tower I bought in the mall, right? Nice. And I came home, my parents were like, $50? It was every penny I had. And I'm like, and it's worth it. Hello, like look at this pigment and I can use it for 800 different things. And I probably had it for 5 years, way past its expiration date. But it's one of those things where I've been so passionate about it for so long that things that might be easy for me when it comes to beauty are really hard for someone else, versus things that are really difficult for me when it comes to math may be super easy for you. Like, we all have our strengths. And so getting super clear on what other people needed help with was really helpful for me. And then, of course, based on my own experiences, one of our first products, the Status Stick, I went on this trip to Florida and I had this body shimmer in my bag that at the time was this lotion. The brand made one that was a pump and one that was this roll-on squeeze situation.
Okay.
And I opened my suitcase up, and as a content creator, of course, I had all my perfectly planned outfits packed. It exploded everywhere.
Nice.
It was all over every single thing in my suitcase. I'm across the country, and I just thought, why has no one put this in a stick form or made this a solid? Like, why can't I just create some sort of a shimmer that isn't going to be sticky? Because all of the ones that I had tried were tacky to the touch. They were sticky, or they would get all over your clothes, transfer all over things because they were almost wet, or they were more glittery and I wanted them to be shimmery, and it would explode everywhere. It was messy. It was hard to use. And I just thought, why don't we have like more colors, more range here? Why don't we have something for different uses? Why can't I put it on my face and my body? Why is this one just for my body and then I have to have another one for my face? And why is it in this squeezy thing that just exploded all over my suitcase? Why is it not in a stick? Wouldn't that be easier? So that was born from an experience that I had. And then our other first and second product was our duo. That's still one of our most popular things that we have on our site. And it's the double-ended bronzer and blushes. And I got the question constantly, I don't know what blush to pair with the bronzer. And so I thought, this is actually very difficult to decide how to pair them, because now you're talking skin tones, undertones, all the things. It's a lot. And I thought, well, why don't we just put them together for people? Let's put a bronzer and a blush, pair it together, and then people can take it with them places, and that would be easy.
It's worked out, right?
So far, so good.
Because again, going back to this, you guys being the fastest growing brand we track, what has been your approach to kind of getting the word out, building relationships, et cetera? Like, what do you guys do?
In the very beginning, it was really based on my personal relationships with my friends at the time. It was friends and peers that I had had for years of doing this as a career. And they trusted me, obviously, because we're friends and I know them on a personal level. So when I sent them product, they knew it was going to be good. They were excited to try it. And then naturally, organically wanted to share it to support me. So it started, I think, from this really real place of just sending things to my friends who were also influencers, because I'd been doing this for so long. Now, my personal approach is looking for the people on social media who are already loving DIBS. It's so important for me to want to work with people who genuinely love the brand so much, because those are my favorite brands to work with. I try products all the time. I share products, and I want to work with brands who I already love and who I'm using. And in fact, that's the majority of things I say no to. If I don't know the brand or if I haven't tried it, if it's something where I wasn't previously aware of it, but I look at it, I'm like, wait, this looks really cool. I want to try this. I'll ask if I can try it for a month, like an extended period of time. That's really the only exception to that rule for me. So I love finding people that are already using DIBS. They're getting ready for date night and they have it on. It's like, hey, let's pay this person to talk about it, because they're already doing it. They already love it. It's organic. It's natural. Their following has seen them share about this several times. And going from there, I also think the products are just really good. And I focus on the whole like embodied joie de vivre. We talk about this a lot with my team. And we all now come to focus on the entire experience. So how is the secondary packaging and the primary, when you open it, making sure there's these little details to things. There's not many things that we do as a brand that aren't layered in their meaning. Even things like the day that we launched. My dad passed away about 5.5 years ago, coming up on 6. And we launched on my dad's birthday.
Oh, wow.
Because he was an entrepreneur and he had a tech company, and I wanted to kind of pay homage to him in that way. So everything is this really layered mean and intent behind what we do, and heart, I think, honestly. So with our double-sided bronzer and blush, for example, the side of the duo that has the thicker lines closer together is the bronzer side always. So you don't have to mess with uncapping one side, flipping it. I think we made it easy for people. We took the guesswork out, but having this full encompassing experience of it smells good, it's clean, it works.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when we talk about what causes brands to win, it's those two things. You have to have a product worth talking about, right? It's got to be good enough to actually stand up. And then the second part is leaning into the people that love you already. Because then what it does to other people is they go, oh, if I talk about the brand and I actually love the brand, I'll get rewarded, right? They'll build a relationship with me and support me. I'm curious, you're not the only influencer brand that's been created, right? There's a lot of these brands that have been launched. And again, going back to you're the number one on the list. And I would say that most actually don't do that well, even brands that have major names behind them. Why do you think it is that some of these other celebrity or influencer driven brands have not been as successful?
I attribute a lot of that to having amazing co-founders and an amazing team, picking the right people. Jeff and I always joke, we don't pay people to tell us what we want to hear. I was very mindful about not wanting it to be about me. As much as like I am the face of the brand, the chief creative and the co-founder, and so many of these things, I feel like this great ownership over and pride for, I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want it to be Courtney Shields Beauty. Yep. My goal was for DIBS to always supersede me. That was always the dream for me. I didn't want the personal credit of like it being about me. I wanted it to be about the products. I always equated it to, I used to love Mary-Kate and Ashley back in the day. You know, things that they had that they were wearing, and then they came out with Mary-Kate and Ashley at Walmart. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my time to shine. I got this. And I would go, but I felt even as a kid so cheesy shopping the Mary-Kate and Ashley collection at Walmart because I knew it wasn't what they were wearing. And so I think I was just really hyper aware of wanting to create DIBS and not Courtney something, because this is really what I'm wearing every day, not this thing that I've created for other people that can't, you know, have the things that I have. Like that felt like that was celebrity brands. It was kind of like, you know what, you can't afford the things I'm using, so here's this thing we've made for you. And I always hated that. And so I wanted to really create things that I was actually using. And so we chose DIBS, Desert Island Beauty Status, is what it stands for, the acronym, basically just signifying if you were going to get stranded on an island somewhere, what would be your 5 favorite products? Because I got asked that all the time. Like, what are your 5 favorite things? We want to be all your favorite products. So DIBS was born from that.
It's funny how much of the brand stems from your own content creation, right? Like, what are the questions you're getting asked? The community that you built in the past, your friends being kind of the seed for everything.
I think it's a leg up. To answer your question even about the influencer thing, I know like I have close relationships with our influencer team. They're amazing at what they do. And I'm able to give insight sometimes of, you know, creators don't really like XYZ things, or we really appreciate it when brands do this, or and give the other side, the flip side of that coin.
Do you try to spend a lot of time with them? Do you fly out LA, New York? Do they ever come to Austin? Like, is that something you invest in?
We definitely are cognizant of that. Jeff gets to do that a little bit more than I do. I'm definitely close with everybody on the team. Like, we're talking all day.
Have you ever thought about leaving Austin, or is this home for life?
It's home for sure. I would love to have a second house eventually somewhere and putting it out there and manifesting it. I have a daughter. I'm a 6-year-old and I'm divorced. And so barring leaving, which I would never do, her, obviously I kind of have to be here until she's at least out of high school. But honestly, look at the place.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Twist my arms. I'll stay.
You know, it's funny you talk about your divorce. I know that one of the things that's made you really successful as a creator is that you're willing to talk about stuff that other people may not be willing to. How do you think about that line in terms of what you like? You know, do you have a line, and where is it if you do?
I have a pretty hard line, actually. I've always loved to share my life. That's why I started doing this for, you know, in many ways. But I'm not willing to exploit the people in my life. And I think I've taken a hit for it in some ways. I think we do live in a world where people want more is more. And so many creators make their stories full-time reality shows. And I couldn't do that to people in my life. I've said no to reality shows. I don't want that life. I do like some privacy and veil. And when it comes to sharing things that have been really difficult things to experience, like divorce and losing my dad, grief, all these things, I think some of the boundaries have been sharing it when I'm comfortable, not needing to feel pressure for sharing it as I was going through it. When my dad was dying, nobody knew that it was happening until after he had passed. And then I shared when I was comfortable sharing. I'm not going to lie, I've had moments in my career where I've brought out my tiny violin for a minute. And it's one of those things where, as blessed as I feel to do this, it is a lot of pressure to share. I know I need to come on and share about divorce and about grief and about these things. And today I don't want to be the poster child for grief, and I don't want to be the poster child for divorce. Can someone else like take this one for a little bit? Because I'm over it. There's never been one single day when I haven't wanted to do this. Like, I love what I do, but more so needing to share those like darker, heavier things that I know are really impacting people and helping them in a positive way. That's why I do share it, but it is hard. So I think I've learned to create boundaries surrounding when I share that once I've processed it. or at least like I'm in a more comfortable place, then I'm able to share. Maybe that's midway through, maybe that's at the end. It just kind of depends. Because I know when you have this job, you're in the public eye to some degree, more so than celebrities, because celebrities have a veil. They have people that handle the things for them. They have much bigger audiences I can't imagine.
Yep.
But they almost get to have like a separation of church and state, whereas creators, you have less of a following or less of people that know who you are, but it's closer up. Like it feels like everything's closer. People feel like they're your friends, and I feel like that about the people that follow me too. And so they want to know all the things. And with that also comes not only certain pressures, but knowing that you're going to get judged. Mm-hmm. And I have to personally be a far enough place along in that situation where like I can handle that. And then there's things like my daughter where it's so much fun to share because I just think she's the greatest thing in the world, and she's brilliant and beautiful and kind and she's incredible. But because of all those things, I don't show her that much because I want to protect her, and she's an age where she's in school and thinking about her being out in the world without me, and it's confusing. I try to create some good boundaries there as well and share her a little bit because of course it's fun, but not share her a lot. And that's also been difficult for its own reasons and its own ways because people think, oh, you don't have her very much. It's like, I have her a lot. Yeah. It's just, it's not necessarily equated with like what you're seeing. Like if I have her, I'm not necessarily showing her. There's times when I have her and I'm totally offline for the weekend because I'm trying to be present.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. There aren't a lot of other large creators in Austin specifically. And so I'd imagine that you get recognized a lot, right? Just walking around. How do you kind of find that balance of being close to these people that feel very close to you? How do you keep that separation? And maybe have you had any kind of crazy stories with people that follow you?
I love meeting people out typically. I'm just mindful of sometimes, say we were like out to dinner, I might snap a picture of what I'm eating and then 30 minutes I'm gone, I'm on to the next stop. Maybe that's when I'm posting it. I usually do post in real time, but if I'm out, I might be kind of onward to the next situation, depending on where I am. And then sometimes if there's tons of people around, it is what it is. Like I'll post it right in real time. I genuinely do love meeting people. Yeah. It's so much fun. The only time that it's hard is when I'm on a date, because that's a lot to explain to someone. I usually don't dive into that. And then they're like, oh, you know that person? And I have to respond, no, which is a little confusing for people, you know, if they don't know, because guys don't know who I am, girls do. And the other time, I would say the other sort of like scenario is if I'm out with my friends at night. I love meeting people, but it does cause me to always check myself, be aware of my surroundings. So it just puts me in a different mindset. I can't go out willy-nilly and not think about it.
How do you split time now? So, I mean, you've got the brand now. I'd imagine that's taking up more and more time. Is it like a 50-50 split versus kind of content creation versus brand? How does that work out?
I don't know how to actually categorize that. I feel like it's two full-time jobs at the same time. There's crossover, right? Where a lot of times if I'm filming my organic content, I am going to be talking about DIBS. But I think the hardest parts at first were getting used to all the meetings. As business brained as I am, Jeff and I like to say he's a very creative first CEO and I'm a very business first chief creative. And I'm also a creative at heart and I'm very all over the place. When my schedule is too tight, it feels like I'm dying. I'm suffocating from the inside out. I need sunshine. So that's the only thing is I learned to do things like I actually love the meetings because I want to be involved with everything. I'm usually doing something to kind of fill me up while I'm sitting in the meetings because I'm just not a corporate girly.
Despite having a million different things that you want to work on at one time, you also like to write things down. You like goals. What are some of your personal goals coming up this year and maybe some of the goals for DIBS? What do you want to do with it?
We have a really great company culture. And I think for a startup and for beauty, I'm very proud of our culture and the atmosphere that we've created. I love that. So really continuing to nurture that and feeling like it's a good space where people can share ideas and everyone feels respected. And while we're all working our asses off, it still feels good and people are enjoying what they do. And if there's a problem, come to me, come to Jeff, like talk to us about it. That's really important to me. I would like to continue to create innovative products. Jeff and I have been talking about this a lot lately. We've been ripped off by brands. I see other brands ripping off each other constantly. To me, it's sort of a depressing creative slump that doesn't fill me up at all. I want to create things that aren't already out there. And it's hard, right? Because sometimes reinventing the wheel is, depending on what it is what it is. You make your own twist, your own version. But I do think there's a way to still add innovation. So always continuing to create products we're really proud of and excited about that feel like they have a purpose instead of just seeing, oh, you know what, that's working, let's go there. Not chasing our tail. We don't chase trends. So really continuing on that path. I would like to get more in-person time personally with the team this year. I see people a lot at events and those sort of things, and that's always great. But since I'm being pulled in a bunch of directions when I'm there, I would love to just have a couple times when I'm going out and I'm working, but I'm working with everybody there presently for a week or so at a time.
Yep.
That would be great. Personal goals. I wanted to cook a lot more this year. I think I'm doing a good job of that one. I wanted to read.
I have bought so many books that I have not read. Now I've got a pile of 20 or 30 that I want to read, but I haven't touched.
The other thing that I'm honestly really hit or miss on is my screen time before bed and in the morning. It's the easiest thing in the world to just open up the phone right in the morning or right at night, but it really does mess with you. I don't like doing it. I have a better start to my day when I look at the time, I go wake up, I stretch, I make my coffee, but trying not to look at my phone as early and as late, especially at night, unwinding a little bit. I have like some little nighttime rituals I like to do before I go to bed. But if I just sit there and I'm in an endless scroll, it's 11:30 at night and I've done nothing.
Yeah, it's hard to turn it off. I enjoy it though. Like I like going on TikTok before bed. You know, you relax, you know, chill,
I get caught in it though. Like I almost want to do that right after dinner. And then it's like, okay, it's 8:30. I'm on to something else now. You know, I'll sit there till late if I do that.
Are you good at sleep?
I think I'm pretty good at sleep. I don't need an insane amount. I'm not someone that wants to sleep 10 hours a night. Like I can go to bed late and wake up early and I'm usually decent. That's changing a little bit in my mid to late 30s now. Like I'm 36.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I think it has to be an age thing.
It is. I'm 37. Same thing.
Not okay.
When I was like 20s, I could live on like 5-6 hours of sleep. Now I've tried to take it more seriously. I try to get 8 hours.
Are you good at sleep?
I can sleep anywhere, anytime. The problem that I have is when I'm like really on something, and so it's probably every second or third day, I'll wake up at 2 in the morning and just start working. And I'll work from like 2 a.m. till 5 or 6 in the morning and then take a nap for an hour and then go back.
There are definitely things that keep me up at night. And I think that's part of running a business, right?
Yeah.
There's this flip, whether it's retail, whether it's when we were raising our Series A, all these things, like all of a sudden I wake up in the middle of the night and your wheels start turning. It's so hard to turn it off.
So I feel like I have to ask, because obviously we're like facing this whole like TikTok ban and what's going to happen. You got this podcast you've got going, which is doing really well. How do you think about your own content creation? Where are you spending your time? Where do you want to spend your time?
I think the overarching theme for me has always been evolve or die. I remember I had a pretty large following on Instagram at the time, and Instagram was down for the day. And I hadn't really gotten into TikTok. I was like, TikTok, these kids, like, what is this? And I hadn't really gotten into it. I'd scrolled a little bit on it, but to really understand a platform, you have to consume it. You just do. But I thought, you know what? Let me go over to TikTok for the day because Instagram was down and Instagram had been shitting the bed for like a while at this point. I feel like it was becoming much more unpredictable. And I thought, you know what? I really need to diversify socially, like my platforms way more because I was very Instagram heavy. YouTube here and there, a blog, but really like Instagram heavy. That was how I was making most of my money. That's how I was spending most of my days. I go over to TikTok. I love it. All of a sudden, I'm like I'm a kid again in my Barbie Jeep going like full speed down the hill. There's no brakes on the Barbie Jeep. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Well, and TikTok's doing this at the time too.
Yeah, but I'm also like, no one's judging me. No one is holding on to old versions of me. There's like 30 people here. This is kind of awesome in a weird way. Like I felt like I could come and show up in my truest present form. And that was really cool. Because mind you, at this point now, I've been doing Instagram and social media for 10 years. Yeah. So people have witnessed me before and after my divorce. People have witnessed me before and after being a mom. People have witnessed me before and after my dad's death, my aunt, my brother-in-law, like all of these things that have gone down that do change somebody. And to sit here today and say those things didn't change me would be bullshit. They absolutely changed me. I think for the better. I think I'm stronger, more resilient, and overall kinder, braver, more grounded human being. But they do change you. So much of Instagram at that present time, I felt like holding on to, oh, I missed the old Courtney. And it was like, well, she ain't coming back. So get on board or exit stage left, you know?
Yeah.
And I really felt that way. And so I felt like when I went over to TikTok, I got to exhale a little bit. And I felt like I really got to have this moment of starting fresh. And it was kind of exciting in a weird way. And so diversifying in that way. So evolve or die no matter what. Like I hope nothing happens to TikTok because I really love it. I like it as a consumer, as someone looking for like information, inspiration, all the things. And I really love to use it as a creator as well. So I hope nothing happens to it, but like I'll figure it out. I always do. And so, and again, that's when the diversification of having a brand, having a podcast, having Instagram, TikTok, just sort of doing all the things is good because I don't have so much weight in one basket. You know, there's not too many eggs in one basket.
Yeah. I think that TikTok, going back to your like not getting all the hate, I think in general, TikTok tends to be a little bit of a happier place anyways.
That's been my experience.
Yeah. And I can't quite figure out why.
I almost feel like Instagram is a little older typically.
Yeah.
And again, like this is my age demo in many ways, but people are almost a little more salty. Like they've been a little more weathered. Whereas TikTok, it's like, we're looking for recipes, we're looking for outfit inspo. I want relationship, like advice. Like we need all the things on TikTok. It's also not as personal. To follow someone on TikTok for me does not take much. To follow someone on Instagram, I have done a deep dive. I have looked at your wedding registry. I have not really, but you know what I mean? Like it takes so much more for me to follow someone on Instagram. So maybe people are just way more invested in someone's life on Instagram, whereas TikTok is you're kind of there for the content.
Yeah, well, again, like some of my stuff is from people I follow, but most of it's just like random stuff that shows up. And so, like you said, you're just not as invested in people's lives.
And even when you know someone, you follow them, you maybe see their face, they pop up a lot on your For You page, but you might not know. I don't know if they're married. I don't know where they live. I don't know where they're from. Whereas Instagram, you tend to know a lot more about people's lives. So I think it's easier for people to place judgment. I also think the larger your community gets, the less people view you as like a human being. And the more they transcend you into this different other weird category where they feel like they can say whatever they want. I have this new thing I'm doing.
Okay.
So for years, I went on for years to just turning the other cheek. And I'm like, you know what? Say whatever you want about me. I hold my head high. I ran out of cheeks. And all of a sudden now I'm so unhinged. And I told people at the beginning of the year, I was like, look at me. My DMs, if you have something kind to say, if you have something constructive to say, I'm even good with like negative constructive feedback.
Okay.
If it's constructive, if you have something to say and you feel comfortable saying it in my DMs, or you want to talk about your life, your relationship, you need advice, your outfit, you're going to a wedding, you want to know what to wear. For you, I got you. You are safe here, always and forever. However, if you come into my DMs, my house, my safe space, and you come and you want to shit on me as a woman, as a partner, as a mom, as a human being, say it with your fucking chest because I will come for you. Like I am over it. I will post someone on my story and I'm like, oh yeah? What else do you have to say? Because people don't think you're going to read it and look at it and observe it. And I'm like, you felt comfortable saying that. Say it again.
I love it. Mark Cuban gets into that shit too. Like he'll be on Twitter just like ripping anon accounts. I'm like, what the fuck? Like how would you have time for like...
See, here's the thing. I have nothing to say. Like I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'll screenshot it. I'll post it. It happened the other day with this girl, I guess, that lives in Austin.
Yeah.
She just like shit on me. I can't remember even what she said because it like held no weight on my life. But it was just so out of pocket that I posted it and people were like, oh, that's my hairdresser. I'm never going back. Like it became a whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you want to say this on your real account, you go to their profile and 10 out of 10 times, unfortunately, it's like, mom of 3 angels. And you're like, holy shit.
That's crazy.
You're just out here wilding out, like saying whatever you have to say with your account. It's like, you're a terrible mom. And it's like, first of all, I literally don't know you. You've never met you a day in my life. I'm an incredible mom. Like I know that to be fact, right? Evident by my child. But it's one of those things where what you see on social media is a obviously packaged, polished version of people's lives. And that can be hard for people that are going through some type of struggles, whatever that may be, right? We all have our own struggles. A couple things. One, if you don't like following someone, don't follow them. There's absolutely no need to consume things that are bothering you. Like, it's okay. I get someone might not like my content. They might not like my outfit. They might not like my voice, my face, like whatever. You don't need to follow me. If that's the case, it's completely fine. I'm not for everyone, and I'm good with that. I think if you're going to be a big personality, you have a big personality, you have to accept early on that you aren't going to be for everyone. That's totally fine. I also think there's two types of people. There's the one person that sees someone else thriving and it inspires them and it motivates them. And that's the type of person that I've always been and that I want to always be. Even my co-founders, right? Dan and Ken, for example, they've sold companies, they're crushing it. They're brilliant. They're so good at what they do. And they inspire me every day because I'm like, I want to do that. I can do that. Looking at them and knowing that they've broken through ceilings and they have no ceiling, that tells me there's no ceiling for me either. So you can choose to view someone that has something that you want that you don't have as inspiring, or you can be jealous. Or you can say, I can't believe so-and-so has that and I don't. One mindset and outlook is going to get you a very different destination than the other one. And I wish people knew that. And the last thing I wish people knew when they were sending comments or writing mean things or whatever is I'm good with who I am. I know I'm a good person. I know my character. The people in my life that matter know my character. I went out and I did my best in the world, and I'm not perfect and no one is. And like, I really did my best and I'm good with who I am. Like, I'm proud of who I am. When you say negative things about me, it only makes me think less of you. It doesn't make me think less of me. Like, I know who I am. I saw this TikTok that was talking about a guy who was insulting. He said, I hate your blue hair. What would you say if I said, I hate your blue hair?
To me? I mean, I don't know.
Well, you don't have blue hair.
Yeah, I don't have blue hair.
So you wouldn't be insulted. So when someone comes and they say something that's like really mean and like they're trying to hurt you, it's like, they didn't hurt me because it's not about me. Like, you don't know me and this is so relevant. It's all it's doing is pointing me where you're insecure, where you like, you're so mad seeing me, you know, like went through a divorce and I'm like, okay, I'm a happy person. Like, you're so mad seeing that, like probably because you're miserable. My life isn't really affecting you. And so there's no reason to act like that. So I just feel sad for other people when they act like that, honestly.
Totally. And I think one of the questions that was forming in my head was I'd always thought of it more as like men sending terrible things to women online. But
no,
it sounds like
it's women.
Really? That's so interesting to me.
Unless I have a viral video and then the men get big mad. Like, if I have a viral video talking about like what to look for in relationships and what type of men not to date, I'll be like, don't date a guy who blank. And it's like that guy commenting and he's like, you're ugly. I'm like, sick, bro. You're just like, you might as well put up like a neon sign, like pointing directly at being like, it's me she's talking about. I'm the guy. Like, don't date me. Like, that's basically what you're doing. That's like on extreme viral videos. Besides those scenarios where it's like full on just crazy people, like Andrew Tate vibes in the comments, it's women.
Interesting.
Always.
That's fascinating. So let's do one kind of end of show question. So I think you've given a lot of advice over the years. Obviously, that's a big part of what you do. What would be your life advice to younger women growing up? What would you recommend that they do?
I think everything feels so all-consuming when you're younger. And I even have days like that now, right? Where everything feels so big, so important. So if you have a hard day, like it feels so terrible, you're going through a breakup, like it's so heavy, this too shall pass. Like, it's going to be okay. These things you're not even going to remember. At a certain point, you won't even remember the things that you think are so important today. So realizing that life is way too short to sweat the small stuff, and it's all small. Just take a breath. The sun will come up tomorrow. The same thing will happen the day after that and the day after that, and you're going to be okay. And you don't want anything that's not for you. When you realize that you don't want something that's not for you, it makes a closing door a blessing. I think that's the best mindset that you can have.
My wife and I have talked about that. You know, you get really focused on something or really upset about something, and it's like 5 years from now, you only remember this day, more than likely. Obviously, barring like horrific events, right? Like,
yeah, of course. But those things, when you talk about life and death and all that kind of stuff, it's like, of course, those are the moments that are actually the huge moments. I think when you've experienced enough of those as well, you have too much perspective. Try to like zoom out to that 40,000 foot view looking down. And so many things are small when it comes to you're still here, you're still breathing, you're fine. Just kind of putting things in perspective makes a huge difference.
Well, I really appreciate you taking out the time. Congrats again on all your personal success, both as a creator as well as DIBS. Excited to watch you guys continue to kill it.
Thank you.
It's going to be another great year, it looks like. Glad I got to hang out in Austin with you.
Thanks. Lots of fun stuff on the horizon, guys.
You're going to crush it.
Stay tuned.
Be a friend, tell a friend, and subscribe. Earned by CreatorIQ. CreatorIQ is your all-in-one solution to grow, manage, scale, and measure your influencer marketing program. Ready to unlock the power of the creator economy? Get started with a demo today at CreatorIQ.com.